All right, let's move into a quick conversation on the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. All right, so why are we talking about the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup? What is it? What does it mean to Fort Wayne? Right now, Fort Wayne FC is not competing in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. They changed the format. Not all USL One teams participate in it this year. But there's a process for which teams get in and do participate. And so Fort Wayne FC was not on that list this year. But in the future, will be something that Fort Wayne FC will, I believe, will compete in as that tournament. It's the longest standing tournament in soccer in the United States. It was named after Lamar Hunt in 1999, but it was a tournament that involves all levels of soccer in the United States, starting with amateur clubs that will play each other in a round. Winners move on. They introduce USL 2 clubs. They'll introduce USL 1 clubs, eventually moving into USL Championship. And in the later rounds, Major League Soccer teams enter into the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. So it's been a long-standing tournament that has, encompassed club soccer, professional amateur soccer across the country for a long, long time. Some notable cup sets. In 1999, the Rochester Raging Rhinos were the first non-MLS or the last non-MLS team to lift the trophy ever since 2000. A Major League Soccer team has won it, but there have been some deep runs by some lower level teams, which is always fun to compete as the underdog against the big teams in the country. In 2008, Charleston Battery made it to the final. 2011, Richmond Kickers upset Sporting Kansas City. 2022, Orlando City SC wins a trophy. And there's been some other, this is the tournament that put a team from Cincinnati on the map, beating Columbus Crew, beating Chicago Fire on a nationally televised night in penalties, and losing in the semifinal to New York Red Bull. And so big tournament, lots of fun, especially for amateur sides to get a chance to compete with top level teams. And that's all going on right now. And there were some notable games that happened this last week, first round of the US Open Cup, with a lot of USL 1 teams competing in that. Did you guys get a chance? We've seen scores. I didn't get a chance personally to watch any of those matches, but I did see a lot of the scores come in. Did either of you get a chance to watch any of the USL or the US Open Cup games?
I have not.
I just saw some highlights and did some research on some of the teams kind of after the fact. But one, I know we talked about this in our Discord. We had Vermont Green over the Portland Hearts of Pine as a USL 2 team over USL 1. And then one that caught my eye too was Ford Madison USL 1 team, losing to the Flint City Bucks. Now, if there's anyone from Wisconsin, Micah, right? If you were from Wisconsin and you lost to a team called the Bucks, would that make you a little upset?
Yeah.
We hunt bucks, right? No, but
Flint City Bucks, if I remember correctly, are the team that put Fort Wayne FC out of the USL 2 playoffs last year as well.
They're no joke team too. So just because, this is like our FA Cup where you look at the different tiers. It's like, if you're in a lower league, that's a giant killer, but not necessarily, because you're right. Flint City, they've actually have a record of beating 11 pro teams, throughout their history. So these teams, just because they're in a lower league, doesn't mean they're formidable. They can be very formidable against these other teams. I think what makes it really tricky though is anyone below USL League One, they're not playing year round. So there's a great story about Vermont.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. Like, how does that work? Because USL 2 doesn't start until June, right? Maybe May. So who's on these teams? Like, what does that look like?
Well, I know Vermont pulled in some college players, and literally their article said that they had like one practice. They threw together a roster, had one practice, and they admitted that next round that they advanced to, we're not sure if the roster is even gonna be the same. So it's kind of weird in that regard. And then maybe you have these NPSL, UPSL type teams who have like year-round, senior level like club teams that might be at a bit of an advantage just from that regard. But it's weird.
Yeah.
Was Vermont Green the team that I saw that had maybe all or most of their players have been drafted in the MLS or slated to be? So they're not like, this isn't just a college team thrown together. These are top level guys that have played USL2, potentially even thrown together to, play these USL1 clubs that are really just starting their season. So, right, they've had 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks now training together USL1 clubs versus, these top USL2 clubs that are bringing in players that may not be, they're not scrubs they're putting out there. Like if you have a chance as a club to bring in the top players from around the country just for a game to spoil somebody else's chances, like it sounds kind of fun, but it really sucks for that USL1 club that really wants to make a splash. And now they're like, we didn't know who we were playing, but I recognize those names because they've all been drafted.
Yeah, bunch of ringers, right? But the cool part is, right. So 1927, right? The senior club team, senior men's team for Sport Club 1927. If they win the Amateur Cup national level, was USASA, whatever it's called. They would qualify to play in this next year, and they have, I think, at one point in their history.
Yeah.
They just have to get the right coach. Maybe they've got him, maybe not. We'll see. No, we look forward to that, man. Seeing Micah coach in the U.S. Open Cup would be a lot of fun. A couple of the scores from U.S. Open Cup involving USL1 clubs specifically that Fort Wayne FC will play this year. Now, again, I'll share that in a second. Richmond Kickers beating Northern Virginia. Vermont Green upsetting Portland Hearts of Pine. Now, Portland Hearts of Pine has made a big splash in USL League One. Their supporters group, their podcast, their fans, their team is no joke. And they were upset by Vermont Green, who, again, put together a solid team of spoilers to put them out. Asheville City SC, I believe, is where Michael Rempel, I think, spent some time with them, upset the Greenville Triumph 3-1. Valley 559 out of the UPSL upset AV Alta out of USL 1. Tennessee Tempo upset Chattanooga Red. Like lots of upsets in this first round. You mentioned Flint City Bucks over Forward Madison, but Union Omaha coming through representing USL 1 with an 8-0 win over a team in St. Louis. How about that game? We've got Spokane Velocity 2-1 win, Westchester SC over New York Renegades 2-0, and Naples continues. They're proven to be quite a team in the league and in US Open Cup with a 3-0 win over the Red Force there. So
they don't give up goals, do they?
What's that?
They don't give up goals easily.
No. And if you remember the conversation I had with Ian from the Forza Naples podcast, he talked about them being one of the best defensive teams in the league last year, but losing 2 center backs, bringing in 2 new center backs, internationals with a lot of experience, but not sure how they fit with this club. And they're not giving up many goals. You're right. It's a solid back line there in Naples.
Solid coaching. The coach has been consistent over the last couple of years, correct?
Yeah.
So, he's doing something right with those players.
Yeah, for sure. So we will keep an eye on USL or US Open Cup games. There's a grouping of games, and then they take some time off and they come back around to play some more games. So we will keep our eye on that, only because it relates to there's teams from the league that are playing in that. So there may be games where, teams have 2 or 3 matches in a week leading into their time coming into Fort Wayne. So there may be some roster turnover. There may be some guys starting that don't normally start when we see them in league play if they're making a run in the cup. So that'll impact a lot of some of the games that Fort Wayne FC will play against some of these teams.